Hey everyone, this is Cole. I'm sitting here with the Dailtune snare and a stack of drum heads, and I want to just quickly illustrate what I think is sort of an underrated feature of this snare. Now, if you didn't know, the Dailtune snare has this system on it that allows you to really quickly change drum heads. And at first I thought, oh, that's, kind of cool. I only change my heads every once in a while anyways. But it was later that it dawned on me that it really is a game changer, especially in the studio, to be able to change drum heads that quickly and to be able to try out different tones. So I want to illustrate what I mean and kind of go through and demo the snare head that's already on here and then 5 other heads. And I want to do this more or less in real time with as few cuts as possible and to show you how quickly we can sort of change the tunings of one head and then try out a different head. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the head that comes with this drum, and in my mind, this drum head is kind of the gold standard. This is a Remo Ambassador, and let's just try a couple of different tunings. Okay, so a few different tunings there for you. What I'm going to do now is, just kind of while we're chatting, I'm going to take this head off and then put on my next contender, which is going to be another Remo. We'll do a couple of Remos, a couple of Evans, and then an Aquarian. The next Remo I want to try is a Powerstroke 77, so a P77. This is, well, I guess I was going to say this is a new head. It's not really new that new anymore. This is a few years old now, but it's become very popular with players like Matt Garska. We've got a muffling ring and a center dot. It's a very controlled head, so I'm just going to get it back on the drum, and then let's tune it up. And again, we'll just try a couple of different tunings here. Ooh. I don't know if you can hear the glue cracking. We'll start high. Whew. Sounds good, I like that. Let's tune it down a little bit. And of course, we got to do the low tuning with all these heads. Man, that sounded really good, but we're on to the next one, or this video is going to be really, really long. So let me just get this head off of here. Okay, and the next one is yet another Remo. We have got a clear pinstripe. So a lot of people are familiar with pinstripes. These often get used for toms, but today we're putting one on the snare. I think I've seen Thomas Pridgeon do this and thought it would be fun for this experiment. Again, this is the sort of thing that you might not go through all the trouble to try if you weren't really sure how it was going to sound with a regular drum, because it's going to take a little bit of extra time, but with the Dailtune, this is really not going to take much time at all. So let's just get this head on, and again, we'll bring it up. We'll start with our high tuning, then we'll just kind of bring it down, and then we'll try the low, low. Again, I don't know if you can hear the glue cracking. It's a little bit scary, but also satisfying. And let's just see where we're at. There's something that just kind of feels wrong about playing a clear head on a snare, but it's kind of cool too. Man, the snare really does the low tunings well. So, and by low tuning, I mean like basically no tension. So anyways, let's move on to the next one. And of course, let us know what you thought about some of these unconventional head choices, right? It's not that often that you'll have a pinstripe on a snare. But in any case, we are now moving on to the Evans heads. We've got a couple more options for you. We've got a slightly more traditional option, which is the Evans HD. So this is a fairly common option here, something that you know, is maybe somewhat akin to the P77. I know they're definitely different heads, but this would be something sort of in the same vein. And we are just going to slap this bad boy back on there. And once again, bring it up to our medium-high tuning, I suppose, and then we'll bring it down from there. Now, this is just a side note here while I'm tuning this up. The Evans heads, you don't really get the glue crack. I think it's because they have the crimped heads. You hear a little bit of something, but different ways of making heads. Anyways, this one sounds really good too. Okay, so moving right along, we've got another Evans option for you. We've got, if I remember correctly, a hydraulic, which, similar to the pinstripes, is a very dead head and also one that is much more commonly used on toms. You rarely see these on snares. And we've got not just a hydraulic, we've got a red coated hydraulic. So Some people love it, some people hate it. You can see the characteristic bubbles in this head, which comes from the layer of oil. There's actually an oil film that's in between the two plies here. And I don't think I have personally actually ever tried a hydraulic on a snare before, so this is going to be interesting for me too. So we will bring this up to our high tuning. I'm not really sure what a coated hydraulic high snare tuning is going to sound like, but again, I guess you and I are both going to figure out together. It doesn't sound bad. You know what? It almost sounds more woody, which doesn't really make sense, but that's sort of the term that comes to mind as I'm playing this. It's obviously very, very controlled, but it doesn't sound bad. So let's go to more of kind of a medium low. Ooh, yeah. And then, of course, this is what we're waiting for. Let's go low. So we've got one more on our agenda. I don't know how long it's been, but there's absolutely no way I would have been able to test out this many heads in a row on a regular snare. I think that is pretty obvious. The last one is actually one of my favorite heads from Aquarian, which is the modern vintage medium. I love the modern vintage line. This is sort of our emulation of a calf head or a more vintage style head. And this head has never disappointed me in the past, so let's see how it sounds. Last time, going up to our high tuning, no characteristic glue cracking of the Remo head, but it's all right. And, of course, so that really is kind of the proof of concept here, where if I was trying to record a track and I wasn't exactly sure what kind of snare tone I was going for, normally I would either be switching snares or I would just be changing tunings, but really this is the only drum that would allow me to swap heads quickly enough to remember what the head before it sounded like. It's not like you can't change drum heads in the studio with a regular snare, but it's the sort of thing where after 5 or 10 minutes have gone by, you kind of forget what the last one sounded like, whereas with this, it's really just like 30 seconds or a minute. I think typically changing a drum head is sort of akin to a guitar player changing strings, where it's not difficult to do and it's not like it takes forever, but it takes enough time where you don't really want to be doing it that frequently. And this is a little more akin to grabbing like a different pedal, like a guitar player might swap out a different pedal and try a different distortion tone or a different reverb or whatever it might be. And for studios, that might be worth the price of admission alone, and I haven't even talked about the fact that I was just tuning this with one dial. So let me know what head you thought sounded best in this particular configuration. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.